couple of laps. I knew it was going to be close. I didn't know if we could make it or not, but it was the only choice we had, really.
When did you decide on this strategy to try to go all the way?
Yesterday. We knew it would be close. We felt like we could make it if we just drafted a little bit and, if we figured it right, and they figured it right.
Okay, congratulations on a great job.
Thank you very much.
The big story going in concerns the health of Bill Elliott.
In Daytona Beach, Florida, it is the day of the great.
At the Daytona International Speedway, the curtain has risen on the 1992 NASCAR Winston Cup season as the cars prepare for the Gatorade Twin 125-mile qualifying races, establishing the field for tomorrow's Daytona 500. Right now, let's get a word from the senior manager for sports marketing for Gatorade, Mr. John Somsky.
Gatorade is proud of its partnership with NASCAR. This represents the cornerstone of our sports marketing properties for the past 25 years. Gatorade enjoys being a part of the excitement of stock car racing, and we look forward to continuing this happy union for many years to come. And to the fan, please enjoy today's race.
The Gatorade Twin 125s is sponsored by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? Gatorade, it's all you're thirsting for. Goodyear, #1 in tires. And by Smooth Busch Beer and easy drinking Busch Light.
This is the scene at the Daytona International Speedway where a preparatory event is about to go. And tomorrow will go with the 34th running of the great American race, the Daytona 500, worth some $2.3 million. Hello, everyone. Ken Squire here. And in the next hour, we're going to show you some of the spectacular action from the twin 125-mile qualifying races held this past Thursday. And spectacular is the word. Alan Kowicki in trouble here at 190 miles an hour. In all, some 17 cars were torn up. Drivers had to go back to secondary cars for the Daytona 500. But they're already now 42 strong to make a go tomorrow in what is a racing classic. Now, joining us this year for the first time in the booth, a two-time winner of these 125 milers, Neil Bonnet, and also alongside the great Winston Cup champion, Ned Jarrett. And Ned, so many exciting stories here. And certainly one of them, as we're speaking to you live from the garage area, is right across the way where Richard Petty's number 43 has been parked in these past few days.
Well, the 1992 season and the Daytona 500 kicks off his fan appreciation tour, his farewell tour as a driver. He will drive all of the races in 1992, but this will be his last Daytona 500. Richard has won 7 Daytona 500s. He's also won 7 NASCAR Winston Cup championships and 200 events in all. He has set so many records over the years and been so great for this sport of auto racing, Ken. It's going to be sad to see him go as a driver, but certainly it has created a lot of action and activity for the Daytona 500.
And we're going to be following him all the way tomorrow with our live flag-to-flag coverage commencing at noon here on CBS. Now, the reason we have these earmuffs on, we're not broadcasting from the downhill at Albertville, but we're about to get a pretty high dB level as they pump up the Grand National cars for their 300-mile race. We mentioned that Neil Bonnet, twice a winner in these 125-mile qualifiers. How about these races we're about to watch?
Ken, I tell you what, these things are a lot of fun, but they'll bite you. I think in the garage area, the guys look at them as a necessary evil. To find out how good your car is for the Daytona 500, you need to take them to the limit and sometimes beyond in these 125s to see how good you are. I remember living in Alabama, Barry Bryant used to say, when you throw a forward pass, 3 things can happen. Most of the times they're bad. In this type of racing, you can either run lousy, you tear your car up. If you're lucky, you might finish this thing. Some of them finished.
Thanks, Neil. For another observation, let's go to the Dean of American Racecasters, Chris Economaki.
Of the 58 cars entered for tomorrow's Daytona 500, only 42 will take the starting flag. And only a handful of those 58 do not have commercial sponsorship. Consequently, Thursday, the suites and pit boxes were packed with corporation presidents, marketing managers, and public relations types, all armed with programs ready to launch the minute their car wins the Daytona 500. Detroit is represented with an army of rooters for its particular nameplate. Consequently, the pressures on the drivers to win in these economic hard times are greater today than ever before. The first hurdle, however, is getting into the 500, and that's what these 125s are all about, Ken.
Thank you, Chris. Now get a firm hold on your armchair and stand by as we bring you the second of the 125-mile qualifiers from Thursday. The starting grid for the second 125-mile qualifier here at Daytona looks like this. The front row, car number 11 is there, and it's Bill Elliott at the controls this year, twice 500-mile champion. Dorsey Schrader is alongside, the ex-Trans Am champion. Row number 2 is Davey Allison and Brett Bodine. For row 3, it's Ricky Rudd and Chad Little. Row 4 is the 86 winner. That's Jeff Bodine and Michael Waltrip. In row 5, rookie Bob Schatt and Darrell Waltrip, the 89 champion. That's how they qualified, but not how they start. Practice on Wednesday, a miserable situation for many, including Michael Waltrip in the yellow car here, involved with Brett Bodine. Brett's car is able to come back out and assume its position, but that 30 car was destroyed, so it starts in the back. And incidentally, Davey Allison lost a car up in turn 2 as well. He's running a backup car from the rear of the field as we come down to start this 125-mile qualifying event. Bill Elliott in the number 11 car, driving for Junior Johnson. First time in Winston Cup competition, right down here on the bottom. We saw him in the Busch Clash, that race of qualifiers from a year ago. Last weekend, here he is now getting out in front, and with him comes Ricky Rudd. Dorsey Schrader, the 89 Trans Am champion, number 90, falls back into third spot as they head down the back straightaway.
They get a single line pretty quickly.
Davey Allison out of the back of the field, moves around Buddy Baker in the 47. He's got a lot of distance to
almost stop.
Comes and come from the rear. And come from the rear he does, as does the yellow number 30 there of Michael Waltrip.
This is a backup car of Davies. He lost his car in the last practice, and he had to go to his backup car, but this is not a slouch. This is the car that Sutherland Pole a year ago was leading the 500 last year, so it's plenty good to win these races.
Yeah, this is the car that got tangled up in the back straightaway with Earnhardt late in the going. In the number 89 as he continues to fly through the field from the rear. Davey Allison on the attack. Meanwhile, with the leaders, here you are. The number 11 car, Bill Elliott in front. Ford first, Chevrolet of Ricky Rudd right there in that second spot. And there's Dorsey Schrader in the Junie Donlevy, car number 90. Remember, Donlevy won this race back in 1987. He had Schrader at the controls then. Longtime veteran car builder from Virginia. With the leaders, Elliott first, Rudd number 5 in second. And here's Allison still closing, still grinding it out here as he moves up through, coming out of turn number 4. Sachets by still another automobile, closes in on the Schatt car, and here comes the number 30 making that same maneuver as they continue to meander up through the field and try to get up to battle with Elliott, Rudd, Schrader, Bodine running in the first 4 spots. Chad Little is 5th. And from Morgan's viewpoint, here's what this 125-mile qualifier looks like from the 9th position.
And you can see nothing but daylight as far as his groove was concerned. There were no cars down there in that groove. And see, the car number 75 would trickle. You got to pull away.
It might look like daylight, but it looked like darkness when you try it. You just can't get any help down there.
Morgan Shepherd, brand new ride, takes over the car that Dale Jarrett drove just a year ago. Back with the leaders another time. And here you see Elliott staying out in front. He's had pretty good luck in these 125s in the past, but always in the famed car number 9 out of Dawsonville, Georgia. For the second time in his career, running something other than number 9 on the side of the race car. The 11 of Junior Johnson. Here's Rudd right there, number 11, looking for a way to move. Probably willing to take some time, wait this one out a bit before he tries to drive it home. Take a look at this battle further back, 8th, 9th, and 10th. There's Darrell Waltrip down at the bottom, and guess who's caught up? Davey Allison, the black number 28, is there.
And Michael Waltrip in the yellow number 30 is there as well.
Coming down out of number 4, Darrell Waltrip, very optimistic this morning about the chances with car number 17.
But he's caught down there on the inside, and watch Davey Allison and his brother Michael Waltrip just drive by on the outside. Nothing he can do about it. You'd think that Michael would get over and say, help my brother out a little bit here. Or maybe Darrell would say, brother, won't you help me? But he didn't. He drove right on past him.
I'll tell you what brother said. Brother said, hop in there behind me. We'll see what we do. I'm going to take this thing.
Back with the leaders. And look at them. We'll be back with more of the 125-mile qualifying races for the Daytona 500 in a moment. Here at Daytona, Davey Allison has just moved into 9th around Dick Trickle, and he's going for 8th. Here comes 28 Allison, rim riding, high side, going around Schrader. He's a man possessed.
Michael Waltrip trying to move around the 75 car, decided that he would draft with him down on the inside, and Davey Allison is really moving up through the pack. And look at Morgan Shepherd in the Wood Brothers car number 21. He has come from 19th position up into the top 10 now, and you know, when he needed to move out and pass the car, Neil, he'll just pull down on the inside and pass him.
He's been able to do it the hard way. The way we haven't been able to see anyone do it, he jumps the inside and is able to go by him.
And there's the car that's made the other big move. From 16th up to 5th came number 10. That was Derek Cope's car. There's Derek Cope, who made a great move in those early laps. And if Cope has trouble in this race and finishes outside the top 15, right now it looks like he won't make the 500.
He's got to drive carefully then.
It's just like you were talking about, that we saw Morgan Shepherd take 2 cars in the middle of 3 and 4. That car is working well by itself.
And it's a Ford. Some people say that maybe the Fords might have a little bit of trouble handling. Morgan Shepherd's Ford is having no problem handling.
Just back in those final qualifying positions. 9th is Schrader, 10th is Trickle, 11th is Waltrip, Darrell is 12, Bobby Hamilton 13, Buddy Baker 14.
Here he goes. He's trying that inside again. That was a view out Morgan Shepherd's car. He doesn't hesitate to use inside the racetrack, and that is an exceptional thing to have to do right now.
Here's David Hawes.
Bill Engel, Michael Waltrip came right at the back. How's the car going?
Right now we're running pretty good. Michael said the car got a little bit loose, but he believes he can handle it. If we get a caution, we'll probably adjust it a little bit. If not, he says it's not so bad that he can't hang on. Our plan was when the race started was to go to the outside and go to the front, and that's what we're doing right now.
He's getting a lot of flack from the booth for not helping his brother much.
Well, you know, it's every man for himself out there.
Back to you, Ken. Average speed is at 189.554 miles per hour. That's right on the button with the track record.
And Ken, while we were talking to Billy Engel, Morgan Shepherd just drove around. Ricky Rudd moved up into 2nd place. Now he has Bill Elliott in his sights.
The only problem, his option now is if he tries to pass that car, Bill Elliott, if he makes it, he's going to look real good. But if he gets hung out, there's another string waiting to go by.
Davey Allison moving in to make it a 3-way battle for the lead. Morgan Shepherd in the 21 on the bottom. Elliott on the outside. Ford stacked up. All 3 in the picture here.
This is exactly what we talked about before. Once you make that commitment, you've almost got to go by, because he's going to go from 2nd to 3rd if he doesn't clear him on that one particular move.
Elliott on the high side. Morgan Shepherd down low. He may tuck back in. We'll see.
He better tuck back in, because you see those cars coming up behind him there.
That machine is so stuck. Look, right here in the 17-degree banking. He disobeys all the odds, and he stays in it.
Yeah, and that has been the strongest point, Ken. He's made most of his passes in that area. He's not going to be able to do it this time. He's going to drop back to 3rd.
And he senses it. You can see him pull back in right there. Meanwhile, Brett Bodine has his hands full. They get him on the inside. They get him on the outside, making the move. Coming up on the far high lane, Derek Cope right up on top. Guy that won this race, big surprise a couple of years ago. And the number 5, Ricky Rudd. Number 30, Michael Waltrip. From way out back in this race, they started 28 cars. He and Allison were on the very tail end of this. They were the tailgaters in this party. He had brought himself back up. Here he is, still side by side with Chad Little. As the squabble continues, at 5th place, the number 26 of Brett Bodine, followed by Ricky Rudd in 6th, Chad Little in 7th, and Michael Waltrip, the number 30, all the way to 8th. Davey Allison, Morgan Shepherd for the lead, now single pilot into the tri-oval.
Well, I think they're content at the moment, Davey Allison and Morgan Shepherd, because they're pulling away from the cars behind them, and they want to get a good cushion there, and at the same time sort of figure out, well, where is his weak points? Morgan Shepherd sitting there looking at Davey Allison now, trying to make that move, and says, can he do it? Should I go with him?
I'm not so sure. The reason Davey made this move out in front of him is a pack of slow cars. And when he made the move the inside, he's got those slow cars in front of him that might give him enough pull to be able to do that.
Look at this, 3 wide. What a battle. Davey Allison getting caught in the middle in the sandwich. It's Morgan Shepherd down to the inside. Elliott on the outside, back in the lead. A grand race here at Daytona. Bill Elliott, twice champion of the 500, is back on, right on the spot, into first place with that maneuver.
In the first race, we might have a little leeway on who would help who, because you were talking Chevrolet against Ford. These 3 Fords just up in the air. They do what they want to do.
Here they are. Around Joe Boer, lap car number 88, bottom of the racetrack. And Elliott gets some daylight. He has about 6 car lengths between himself and Morgan Shepherd now in second. Lying third, Davey Allison. Don't forget in fourth, Ricky Rudd, some ways back.
Bill Elliott's going to use every one of these cars that he's passing to his advantage as much as he possibly can. Pick up the draft of every little chance that he gets. See there, he's moving up on the outside, has been able to pull away from Morgan Shepherd a little bit going through this traffic.
And how do you use those lap cars, Neil?
It's just like I say, climbing a ladder, next rung. When you see a guy, you jump over behind him, take what advantage is there, pull out, jump to the next guy, and then chop down in front of him, not leave the other guy open behind you.
But the amazing story here is 21, Morgan Shepherd just keeps on clawing his way back into the event.
His car is working well, and I believe that he thinks he's got a car that can beat Bill Elliott right now. See how low he can stay on the racetrack? Car's sticking down there. That's the mark of a good handling race car.
Looks like a slot car as it comes through turns 1 and 2. And it sure is in the groove. Here he is right back up on Elliott again. Elliott using all of his savvy to try to draw away, to no avail. Once again, Shepherd and the Wood brothers are back on track.
Now has Bill Elliott. He's been sitting there leading this thing all the way using maximum gasoline. Shepherd and Davey Allison have been able to draft and conserve a little bit of fuel.
There's the story. Elliott using that track. That car not handling quite as well, perhaps, as the 21. Taking that high side gives him a little advantage, maybe in RPMs. What about it off turn 2 here, Neil?
Well, I tell you, you've got to keep them up with the restrictor plate. You've got to keep that thing wound up. And here these two guys look like they're getting a little bit of break on Davey. That's the first time we've seen anyone pull away from him.
I think his car might be getting a little bit loose, Neil. He used a lot of tires coming up through that pack as quickly as he did. And when they got in this traffic, he had to drop back a little bit. And that normally is a sign that the car is a little bit loose.
Lake Speed coming back there for just a moment. Now to the outside. Morgan Shepherd's closed right up, and Davey Allison is still there. The number 11, a Junior Johnson car. Johnson cars have won 2 of the last 3 years in the 125-mile qualifier.
Caution is on the speedway. There's trouble over on the backstretch. A car spinning coming off of turn 2. Down on the inside is car number 97.
22-year-old Mark Gibson loses it. Let's go to Mike Joy.
Tim Brewer is Bill Elliott's crew chief, keeping a check here on the stopwatch. And Tim, a minute ago, they were 3 wide in the backstretch, and Bill got right around a bunch of them. Did he show him something?
Well, you know how old Bill is. He's pretty cool, and you know, he's just sitting there just doing his job right now. There's nothing exciting going on. We're just trying to get through this 125 miler, and hopefully we'll get into the 500. You know, then if he's got anything, I'm sure he'll show it then, but he hasn't told me he had anything special.
Caution flag. You got a chance to stop for gas, will you?
I don't think so.
David Hobbs?
Larry McReynolds. Caution flag. Chance to stop. Do you want to stop or not?
No, this should buy us what we need to be able to stay out there. I'm sure there's a lot of people that's confident they can make it. We didn't really get to check this car yesterday to see how much fuel it picks up. The other car would go the distance.
He's having words from Davey Allison out there on the track. This car has a brand new fuel cell, so it hasn't had time yet to check it out, but they seem to be pretty confident that it is going to do the 125 miles.
So we've heard from the Bill Elliott car. Now we've heard from Davey Allison. One more to check on. That's Morgan Shepherd. Let's go to Mike Joy right now.
Leonard Wood, Derek Cope is in. A couple of other cars are in for fuel. Do you have any plans to stop?
No, we're not going to stop it. It's pushing to front end a little bit, so he doesn't change his driving style a little bit.
So track position for Morgan Shepherd, more important than fuel mileage here.
And we'll be back for the run to the checkers in this qualifier after this message and a word from your local stations. but 4, Davey Allison, Bill Elliott, Morgan Shepherd, and Ricky Rudd look like they're going to decide it.
This is either for the lead or 4th. It's just a matter of you clear him or not.
Elliott stays first. Here's Allison back again, inching along on the bottom, and he's looking like he's going to make the hole for first place, wide enough to take it. No! Back comes Bill Elliott on the outside another time. Watching Morgan Shepherd at work at over 190 miles per hour as we get ready to decide this second 125-mile qualifying race for the great American race, the Daytona 500. Shuffle is on. Elliott getting caught up, and guess who's here? Guess who just came to dinner? Number 17, DW is there. Darrell Waltrip on the inside of number 5, Ricky Rudd. Those 3 Fords continue to dominate. It's Bill Elliott on the point. The 21 car, Morgan Shepherd right there, and Davey Allison.
I think they're going to try to hook up together now and pull away from those Chevrolets back there and then fight it out amongst themselves at the end.
You can almost see that, Ned, after that big traffic jam. Say, hey, what are we doing? Let's get together and get away, or we'll settle this thing with 1 or 2 laps to go. They're trying to stretch it out right now.
Elliott controlling this event from the green. Now the Chevrolets are single file. See Rudd and Darrell Waltrip, and then the Pontiac of Michael Waltrip just behind them.
I'm not so sure when we heard Leonard Wood say a while ago, boy, we got a push, that it wasn't a blessing in disguise. All we've heard all day long is loose, loose, loose. That gets worse. A push comes to you. The thing might be coming to Morgan Shepherd now. He seems to be real strong behind him.
He is certainly able to do a good job of drafting. You can see his windshield's getting a little bit dirty as he looks at Bill Elliott going down the back stretch.
4 times the Wood brothers have won the 500, but it's been a long time, and as we mentioned earlier, it was 83 the last time they tasted victory, and that was in the 400 on the 4th of July. Now Morgan Shepherd looks like he has just that right combination that just makes it all work. They've done a lot of work on this car over the winter.
Yeah, and the push is good in the corner. It's bad off the corner down straightaway. His strong suit should be going into the middle.
Leonard Wood looking on. Slight smile there, as no matter what the situation, there always seems to be a slight smile with Leonard Wood.
Well, they're certainly good people, good hard-working people, and their team maybe had gotten a little behind at one time, but they're coming back now. It's good to see it.
Bill Elliott's taking the sneaky route down the back straightaway there, which is the option. There's such things as offense and defense. That's the defensive side of racing.
You drove a lot of races for the Wood brothers. What do they tell you on the radio to get down to something like this? You on your own? What goes on?
I used to call them and tell them, let me know when there's 5 to go, and tell me 4, 3, 2, and we'll see if we can make it happen on 1.
Here's Elliott trying to shake him loose now. Time running out. Saw that move through the tri-oval. He was definitely trying to duck away. He's not going to get away from Morgan Shepherd. No. He's not going to get away from Davey Allison.
No, he isn't, and Ricky Rudd is about to catch them. About to catch those Fords.
Second place driver, Morgan Shepherd. Again, this is at over 190 miles per hour, second qualifying race. There's the distance to be traveled on this 2.5-mile track to decide it.
I said Ricky Rudd's about to catch him. He's going to have some momentum when he gets to him. Is it the timing perfect for him? Will it be right on the last lap or so?
And a lot of that, you don't necessarily plan that. They start that snaky move in front to be evasive, and it slows them down. And at the same time, the guys back are lined up straight, and here they come.
Ford 1, 2, and 3. General Motors 4, 5, and 6 with 2 to go. Here comes Ricky Rudd, and here come the Waltrip brothers closing in. You think they can overhaul him?
I tell you what, Bill is sure, he looks like he's concerned with it because he's trying everything he can to make him have to work behind him. I don't know how much he's got left. I would think it would be on the floor right now.
How about it, Ned?
Well, he doesn't know what they got left back there either. He's probably running that thing as wide open as it'll go, but he doesn't know what Morgan Shepherd has left or Davey Allison.
Chad Little is in 7th. In 8th is Jeff Bodine. 9th is Brett Bodine. Derek Cope is back in 10th. But this is the story right here. This is for the win.
I tell you what, I hope they filled up the power steering boxes on these things because they're sure working that wheel. They're cranking them down the straightaways.
Junior Johnson looking on at the leader. His driver, Bill Elliott. White flag is down, 1 to go. This is for it. Elliott there. Morgan Shepherd in 2nd. Have they got any more to offer? Now's the time we'll find out. Probably on the back straightaway. Probably turn 3.
Ricky Rudd caught up to him, but he couldn't do anything with them once he caught up to him. Don't think he'll be a factor here. I think that it's going to be between Bill Elliott and Morgan Shepherd.
Inside of Morgan Shepherd's car. And there you see Elliott weaving at over 190 miles an hour, trying to hold on to that lead, giving Shepherd nowhere to run, nothing to look at.
Every time he moves over, that second car gets a blast in the nose, and he just doesn't have the power to pull at times.
Down out of 4 to finish the second 125-miler. And out to the outside. Here comes the 21 car, making a run for the flag. But it's Bill Elliott first. Morgan Shepherd is in second. Davey Allison, a Ford sweep in the second 125-mile qualifier. A great race all the way for Elliott. Looks like they're going to be a tough combination of these super speedways. Junior Johnson and Bill Elliott, a new dream team.
Bill used to be the king of the super speedways back in '85 and '86, and it looks like he might be coming back to the throne.
And we'll be back to meet the winners, Junior Johnson and Bill Elliott, after these messages. Bill Elliott won. Looking further back in the field, Waltrip made it, Chad Little into it, Derek Cope, winner a couple of years back. And filling out the top 15, Stan Smith from Alabama was there. Bobby Hamilton had a good qualifying run. Hello, everybody. Ken Squire. Nice to have you with us here at Daytona Beach, where we're preparing for the 34th annual Daytona 500, which will be run tomorrow. And we have team cars on the front row. Bill Elliott and Sterling Marlin driving for Junior Johnson. And earlier, Mike Joy talked with those guys that will start from the point.
Junior Johnson's drivers have earned the front row for Sunday's race. Sterling Marlin will start on the pole. What are you looking for in the Daytona 500?
Well, we're really looking to, try to win everything. The Unical money is way up there, and it's just, a whole deal. We've been down here really 3 months since November, done a lot of testing, and, something like tomorrow, we don't know what to do when we leave here, but hopefully we're going to win when we leave.
You got a new teammate. Has he been a helper or a threat?
He's a threat now. You got to watch him. I was holding my breath when we run for the pole, and, both cars down here have been real quick, pretty identical speeds testing, and so it was just, we was real lucky to get the pole.
Okay, how about it, Bill Elliott? You've got perhaps the fastest stable car out there, if Thursday's any indication.
Well, I don't know if any of them are stable. Mine is a little more stable than others, but it's a situation that you got to survive. And here a lot of things can happen. It can happen at any time. If it's a hot day, racetrack will be slick, handling will be critical, and all that's going to play a part in what comes down Sunday afternoon.
They're saying that you and Junior Johnson have really developed a bond, and the way this car is running shows it.
Well, when I first did the deal, I really didn't know what to think, but as we're going on now, I feel like no doubt it was the right thing to do.
Well, Junior's got both his cars on the front row. Bill Elliott, Sterling Marlin. Good luck Sunday.
Thanks.
Well, everyone down here in Florida always talks about how competitive this Daytona 500 is going to be. We can't promise you how competitive it's going to be, Ned, but we can certainly say right now that it's the most inspected 500 in history.
Yeah, there's a new man at the helm now that's in charge of the inspections, and I'll tell you, he's been tough, made a lot of teams do a lot of work, but Neil, he has gained a lot of respect very early on.
I tell you what, he's gained a lot of respect, and he's also gained a lot of spare parts. That NASCAR trailer is full of parts. You can build a lot of race cars, but they're all illegal, and you can't use them.
Standing by is David Hobbs with more.
Well, over the course of its history, NASCAR racing became famous for some pretty innovative rule interpretations by crew chiefs. Well, the time was thought to clear all that up, and what better way to catch a thief than to set one? And one of those famous innovative crew chiefs went from being a rule breaker to a rule maker. The most talked about man in the NASCAR garage is Gary Nelson, NASCAR's new chief inspector. And if you're a team owner or crew chief, his is the face you least want to see under your hood. Nelson's cracked down on technical rules the way no one has ever seen. If a car body doesn't fit the factory template perfectly, it's back to the body shop. Looking for just a tiny aerodynamic advantage?
Your qualifier. Mile qualifier. Let's take a look at how they... Number 2, it'll be Phil Parsons taking over in what was the Bill Elliott car, the Melling Ride, and Dale Earnhardt seeking his first 500 win. Then going to row 3, there's the 7-time 500 winner, Richard Petty. Alongside him as he makes his 33rd start, the 13th effort by Kyle Petty. Going back to row 4, there's Terry Labonte, and alongside is Dale Jarrett. with the Joe Gibbs car carrying another onboard camera. Going to row 5, it's Ernie Irvan, the 1991 winner, and a rookie, Wally Dallenbach Jr. 57-year-old A.J. Foyt, 1972 winner of this event, in a backup car that he hasn't run a lap in after on Wednesday he lost his regular mount for this 500. It was lap 4 when the fenders began to fly. Watch Alan Kowicki, number 7. Here's Mark Martin, number 6, moving up. Ernie Irvan coming to the bottom. Kyle Petty deployed directly behind them. Kowicki gets turned around. Petty gets through, but bang! Terry Labonte takes it on the chin, as does Hut Strickland, Richard Petty, Dave Mader, Ben Hess, Rick Wilson, and finally, A.J. Foyt. Second angle here. Here you see the 4 car down on the bottom. Up goes Mark Martin into the side of Kowicki, and away we go into an 8-car calamity.
Yeah, that move on the bottom actually broke the front end loose on the 6 car, and he drifted up and got into the other car. Looks like he just drove into him, but there was no control. The car was actually in the air off the ground.
And actually, Ernie Irvan didn't do anything wrong. He was 4 or 5 feet below Mark Martin, but the air pushing off of him was just enough to get Mark Martin loose.
That incident means that some of the very best go to their times, go to provisional starts to make the field. A.J. Foyt will now start 39th. Alan Kowicki will find himself 41st on the field when they commence the Great American Race. And Richard Petty is still sweeping up, but not quite like the old days when he won 7 500s. He'll be relegated to the 32nd position. Lap 19, most controversial incident of the day. Leader 22 Marlin and number 3 Earnhardt.
As it come off the 4th turn right there, looks like Dale got right up on the back of the 22 car, and there's question from their radio talk. Did he get a little loose and lift, or did Dale get into him? It's hard to tell from that angle.
Let's join Chris Economaki.
We have the man of the moment with us, Sterling Marlin, a very tough break. How did that car get out from under you?
It have. It's the quickest I ever had one get out from under me. I don't know if a 3 got against me or what. The car just ticked loose, and it never, there it is right there.
Can you tell us now how it went?
Well, it looked like it got a little push. It's pretty typical. So, be all right. We'll be all right Sunday. Didn't hurt the car.
Earnhardt apparently is saying that you backed off at that point. Is that the case?
Well, that's pretty much what he always says. So, no, I'll stay in the gas.
Okay. Sterling Marlin, he stays on the pole and be in the 500. Good luck there. Thank you, Sterling. Back to you, Ken.
Lap 35, the battle for 4th. Number 18, Dale Jarrett. Gant on the outside in the 33. Ernie Irvan, then Schrader, and then Kyle Petty. Dale Jarrett gets loose, spins around, and this time, Kyle Petty does not duck the bullet. For Kyle and for Jarrett, it's a long, grinding ride to the back of the 500 field.
It looks like the air might have been taken off of the spoiler. Irvan moves up pretty close to him coming off of the turn, but as he comes off of turn 4, that's a critical point on the racetrack. The back end just goes out from under him and spins him out, and then he collects Kyle Petty in car number 42.
Let me tell you what, guys, I've made that very ride, and that's the most horrible feeling in the world. When it comes off of that corner, you might as well undo that pin and throw the steering wheel out the window. It's over. You're going for a bad ride.
And so Kyle Petty will have to stand on his time, start 33rd, and Dale Jarrett will start 35th. When we return, we'll be back for the final exciting moments of this 125-mile qualifier. To go, Rusty Wallace in the 2 and Bill Parsons in the number 9. We're still battling side by side for 8th position. Here was our call of the final moments. And there they are. Earnhardt first with a Chevrolet, that Ford in second, Chevrolet in third, Ernie Irvan.
Ned, you might have been right, Waldo. Does Mark Martin have something left? He's played him high, he's played him low, he's dropped back, he's pulled up on him. We're fixing to find out. It looks like he might have something left at the end.
His first Gatorade 100.
He doesn't know what Ernie Irvan is going to do back there. Irvan not running quite as close to them. His car might be a little bit loose, but he also might be hanging back there to build up some momentum on those last couple of laps.
Inside Mark Martin's car, back straightaway. And look at the wide angle on number 3 as he scoots down that 3,000-foot backstretch.
When you say wide angle, that little black car can get real wide with a few laps to go. And I promise it's going to take a wide one to get around him also.
Here you are looking at Mark Martin at the controls of car number 6 for Roush Racing as he fights it down in the final moments with 2 laps to go.
Now, fellas, Dale Earnhardt and Earnhardt and Martin have not made a pit stop through all of this. Do they have enough fuel? They thought they would have, and especially with as many caution laps as we've had, they perhaps do have. But Ernie Irvan did make a pit stop. He doesn't even have to worry about that.
Here comes Irvan down to the bottom. He's making a move for second place. Ernie Irvan on his way for second. Can he make it? Mark Martin is coming back on the outside.
Best thing that can happen to Dale Earnhardt is for these two cars to run side by side.
And if you'll watch him, he's going to move inside, outside. He's going to help one guy while than the other. He's not going to tag one man along.
Here comes Martin pulling back up again. Getting down to the final lap here in this first 125-mile qualifier. Earnhardt trying to win it 3 years in a row. Mark Martin trying to take it away. Ernie Irvan, the number 4 car, the spoiler. White flag is down. This is it in the first one. Dandy race.
I think that is the key. What is the 4 car going to do in the middle of this? He might determine the outcome of this race.
Here comes Martin fading high to the outside in turn number 2. And that onboard camera, in a wide shot, he pulls up alongside. Lap car is there, down on the bottom. Scooting through comes Earnhardt. Martin works all the way to the top.
Okay, which one is Ernie Irvan going to help? He'll help the Chevrolet of Dale Earnhardt and hope that it'll suck him on by Mark Martin and he'll pick up a second, or maybe he thinks coming off of turn 3, he can make it 3 wide, but Earnhardt's going to take the low side of the racetrack. Here they come.
Here comes number 6, Martin, still staying on the outside, driving for the finish. Earnhardt comes back to win it.
And Ernie Irvan helped him to win that race. When he got up behind Earnhardt, got the draft just right and shot him right on out in front of Mark Martin.
Don't ever think the factories aren't involved in Winston Cup racing.
I bet you there was some radio conversation going on there as we finish the first 125-mile qualifier. Dale Earnhardt becomes the 3rd driver in Daytona 500 history to win the 125 3 straight years. Let's look further back in the field here. Mark Martin, Ernie Irvan, Greg Sachs, Harry Gant round out the top 5. A little further back, Mast, Schrader, Wallace, and Parsons. And Wisconsin's Dave Marcus has made the field once again. Let's go down and join Mike Joy with that man of controversy, Dale Earnhardt, in victory lane.
Well, it looked for a while like the only safe place on that racetrack was to be out in front.
Well, that's true. You know, we got him behind Mark and Sterling there, and Mark got a little loose getting in. I got under him, and I got around there to coming off for him, and Sterling got loose, got out of gas. I got into him. I was in the brakes, and he spun anyway. Hated it happened, but, you know, I know it looks like we got into him intentionally, but, you know, they both got loose. My car sucked right up on him, and it's one of them deals. I hate it happened. I hope he didn't hurt his car and get in the race okay Sunday. But, you know, we went on and raced, and our car worked real good, real consistent. We're really happy with it.
Well, and again here at Daytona, the Fords are fast all week, and here's a Chevy in victory lane.
Well, you know, you got to have the handling car, and you got to have the whole package. It's got to be a team effort, and everybody works together on it. That's the way it goes.
Dale Earnhardt, Richard Childress, congratulations.
And when we return, we'll have more of the story of the prelude to the great American race. And we're back with you once again here at the Daytona International Speedway, getting ready for tomorrow's 34th annual Daytona 500. Since Thursday, Ned Jarrett, let's just review some of the things that have been going on here.
Well, certainly there's been a lot of work going on in the garage area. All of those cars that were damaged in the 125-mile qualifying races, they had to go to backup cars, but they'll be on the line tomorrow in the Daytona 500, brand new cars, just having to start near the back.
And, of course, big story on A.J. Foyt and Alan Kowicki, both driving herd out here, but they're ready to go. A.J., the 72 winner, looks really strong. What about a final thought from you, Chris Economaki, as to what this is going to be?
Well, I don't think in all of sport have more people been rooting for one man to win, Richard Petty. And for the one man that wins on this 2.5-mile strip of racing roadway tomorrow, it'll be the Stairway to the Stars. And for the other 41, it's just the Boulevard of Broken Dreams.
And for the man who is the story tomorrow in this race, like no other story here, let's join Mike Joy.
Richard, you know, you're just 24 hours away from the Daytona 500. You've won this thing 7 times, and you lost your car in the 125-mile and had to go to a backup car. What kind of shape are you in with that car?
Well, we think we're in pretty good shape. You know, we've tested with the backup car. We tested in December, tested again in January. And, you know, we feel like we're in pretty good shape. We put engine, 500 engine in it, run a little bit yesterday. and the speeds are about the same. So from that standpoint, the big deal that we've got to worry about is, you know, getting the car to handle as good as what the other car did. But we think we're in pretty good shape.
We're talking about the race car, the mechanical side of it. How does Richard Petty feel? I tell you what, you know, you've done this thing so long, and it's not the end of the season. You got a lot of races ahead of you, but the last Daytona 500, our Super Bowl, what's going through your mind right now?
Well, you know, Daytona is always the big thing for us, and I get up for Daytona where I don't get up for a lot of other races, and just because this is the last time I'm going to run a Daytona 500, I guess that hadn't sunk in yet. It'll probably sink in about this time next year when the cars start running and I'm not in one of them. But right now, I'm still looking forward to the 500 and the rest of the season.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. This guy's won a bunch of these races down here. You're going to give the conveyor to start engines tomorrow. What's the little game plan you got on that you were telling us earlier?
Well, I told him the best thing to do, you know, I'm going to be the Grand Marshal. They say, gentlemen, start your engine. I think I'll run a couple of laps and then say, gentlemen, start your engine. Give me a little bit of a head start, but I think if I moved, I think everybody else would move.
Thank you, Richard. I tell you what, this guy started a lot of them, and they're going to run a lot of Daytona 500s in the future, but I don't know if they'll ever be the same without this man driving that race car. Back to you, Ken.